Well, today we're going to a space that I really enjoy talking about. It's social media, and we've got one of the gurus of the whole of the country sitting right with us, ready to be interviewed, and I can't wait. Peter Williams, welcome, Peter.
Hi, thanks, Anthony. How are you?
Good. Tell me about Peter Williams so the audience understand what we're dealing with.
Yeah, so sort of interesting background. I was a chartered accountant. I am a chartered accountant and used to be a receiver and liquidator. But in 1993, I went on the web for the first time and thought this is the biggest thing I'm ever going to see in my generation, probably the biggest thing that hit the world since electricity, and that's what I want to do. So over the last 17 years, I've been working in the web space, and in the last 4 to 5 years, a lot around social media and the way that organisations can now go and build their own communities and connect with people to use the web to get real outcomes.
Now, Peter, I met you at a business luncheon, some high-pad people around the table. You're speaking again today. You're touring the whole of Australia speaking on this subject. Is there a lot of interest?
Yeah, I'd have to say that in the last 12 months, the level of interest in social media and organisations starting to understand the web and how they can actually use it much better has just gone through the roof. And I think the other thing is that when you go home, you know, your kids are using Facebook, you see people talking about Twitter, you know, you've watched YouTube videos, people are starting to say, hey, well, how can I actually use this for my business? Because it's gone beyond, oh, that's a thing the kids do, to, hey, this has become mainstream.
Peter, in the function this morning, I had people all around me who were frightened. You know, they didn't say that, but you know, it's really quite spooky for someone of kind of my vintage. I absolutely love it, but the reality is people in the sort of 50s, 60s, maybe even 40s are a little bit concerned about what's happening. Can you just put their fears at rest and just say, you know, how you see this new phenomena?
Yeah. I think it's interesting. We sort of look at it, and it's not so much an age thing. It's almost an attitude thing. That hey, you know what? I can go in and participate in a conversation here, or I can actually take back control of, you know, the message I want to produce, and I don't necessarily have to go through real estate aggregators like the Domains or the realestate.com.au. I can actually go direct. And the other thing is that a lot of people who've, I suppose, over the years been doing things with their websites, etc., have found that it's been horrifically expensive. And often they haven't sort of had a good strategy about it. So, but what's happened now is a lot of the tools that allow you to get out there and reach the audience you want are free. So whether that be blog tools, YouTube channels, just like TOOP+TOOP, you're able to actually do this stuff at a low cost and get a real impact really quickly. The other thing you often hear is, oh, well, you know, my demographic doesn't use the web. I think back in, you know, sort of, I've had this argument for the last 17 years. So, you know, back in sort of, you know, before 2000, maybe that was fair enough. But what we see now is that all ages are starting to get involved in this. And if you look at particularly real estate, it's often older people who are engaging around real estate. And for them, the way they find things out, they go and do their searches on realestate.com.au and Google. So there's no question that people use this thing. And, you know, in the real estate sector, that's how people find out about property, by using the web.
So by and large, the demographic for, if you like, the middle to upper end of the market is more of your 50 plus.
Yeah.
Do you think that online is going to become a very big thing moving forward, say in the next 5 years or 10 years, or when? Because I sense it's sort of happening almost as we speak.
Yeah. It's interesting. You know, I saw a grandmother the other day, a very old lady who came up to Flowerdaler bushfire community I work in, and she would have had to be 80. And I said to her, she hadn't come back to town since it had been burnt down, and I sort of thought, she said she hadn't been getting any information. And I'm like, oh, well, do you know anybody who uses the internet? She's like, I use the internet, I use it all the time. And it's sort of, I think oftentimes we have these preconceived ideas that older people don't use these things, but what I've always found is that if older people find a reason to use it, whether that be for researching, or my in-laws like to play canasta online, once they start using it, my parents have started using it more, and they're sort of in their late 70s, it's just once they start to understand it and they find the specific things they want to do, they start using it. And property, as you say, because it's often the older demographic who have got the broader property holdings, they have to sort of start going in there to find out what's available, and they aren't necessarily wanting to drive around town and go past all the shop windows anymore if they can just do it from the comfort of their own home.